So se me panagit sa
Let it be known that homosexuals are not cowards. Willem Arondeus, July 1st, 1943, as he was being executed by the Nazis for aiding Jews. Welcome to Things You Should Know, People Edition. Today we'll learn about Willem Arondeus, a Dutch author, artist, and most importantly, a member of the Dutch anti-Nazi resistance movement. His leadership of the small resistance movement resulted in saving numerous Jewish people and enshrining his name as one of the righteous among nations, people recognized by Israel who risked their lives and sometimes lost them rescuing Jewish people. Like many people in history, Willem's minority status was ignored or actively covered up. In his case, he was a homosexual man whose sexual orientation wasn't acknowledged until almost 50 years after his death in the 1990s. Willem was born on August 22, 1894. He was the youngest son of a fuel trader, and his early life was that of an artist in several mediums. His first employment was a designer of posters, an illustrator, and a painter. His first big break came in 1923 when he was commissioned to paint the mural for the Rotterdam City Hall. It was at this point that he came out as openly gay, but little is recorded of this aspect of his life, however, until 1943. It is unknown if this is why at the age of 18 he left his family and never saw them again. He then became an illustrator for several poems by various famous poets of the time. However, with that work he was still relatively unknown, living poor, and did not attain fame for his artwork. This changed in 1935 when he switched his focus to writing. This wasn't the first writing he had done. In the 1920s, he'd had many stories and poems written, but none had been published. He successfully published 2 novels in 1938, the novels The Owl's House and In the Blossoming Winter Radish. These novels, which were also illustrated by him, were the precursor to his most famous written work, The Tragedy of the Dream. This work was published in 1939. He had additional work starting to be published in the early 1940s, but by this time he was fully involved in the Dutch resistance movement. Germany had invaded the Netherlands in May of 1940, and soon after was in control of the whole country. By April 1941, Willem had had enough of the Nazi regime, and he had started a periodical to try to unite other fellow artists to resist the Nazis. Willem was one of the first to realize what the Nazi demand that all Jews must register meant. He was not fooled and did not believe it was for the safety of the Jews. He was alarmed and warning others that the Jews would be deported to Westbork, a transit camp that organized Jews and sent them to the various death camps in Poland. By 1942, Willem had updated his underground periodicals and now published the Brandaringsbrief, which detailed his opposition to the edicts of the Nazi-controlled Dutch government. In 1943, the Brandaringsbrief merged with the Free Artist, another periodical written by sculptor Gerrit van der Veen. These periodicals called for the mass resistance against the German occupiers. During this time, Willem was also a member of the group called the Resistance Council, which included other artists such as the openly lesbian cellist and conductor Frida Belafonte. The group was involved in a major operation to hide Jews among the local population, hiding their identity and hindering the Nazi occupiers' mission to round up the Jews. This was done in part by issuing forged paperwork to the Jewish people. Unfortunately, the Nazis had found a way to expose the Jews by comparing the forged documents with the names of the people in the public registry in the Public Records Office. In order to stop this, Willem organized a bombing of the Amsterdam Public Records Office. On March 27, 1943, Willem dressed as a German army captain and with the help of 15 others, drugged the guards and set explosives off. The result was destroying thousands of files and allowing many more Jewish people to avoid being discovered. Unfortunately, within a week, Willem and 15 other members were arrested by the Nazis. Willem took blame for everything on himself. However, 12 of the resistance members were executed with him on July 1, 1943, and in his last message before he was executed, Willem, who had lived unabashedly open as a gay man, said, "Let it be known that homosexuals are not cowards." After the war, Willem's family, who Willem had not been in contact with since he was 18, was given a Medal of Honor for Willem's actions. It wasn't publicly revealed that Willem was gay until 1990, when the TV documentary by Dutch filmmaker Tony Bouwmans made a movie based on Willem's life. Also, it should be noted that on June 19, 1986, Willem Arondeus was recognized by the Yad Vashem as righteous among nations. Thank you for watching. Join us next time on Things You Should Know, People Edition.
So se me pan na yitsamu